Hey guys, what is up? This is Cody, or xCodeh. How's it going today? Hopefully everybody watching this video is having yourself a snazzy day. Let me know in the comments down below where you're watching the video from, inside or outside of the United States. I always love to know. I read all the comments, alright? So let me know where you're watching from. Today's video, listen. On today's video, I have a story that is the scariest time ever buying that devil's lettuce, that sacred skunk. If you guys enjoyed the video at any point, please leave a like. Likes have been way down, okay? You could just say you hate me at this point, alright? Listen, this story takes place back when I was maybe freshman or sophomore in high school. I'm trying to figure it out in my head right now which year this exactly was, but I was young. I was way too young to be in this situation. So there used to be this park in a really bad area of my state. And I say used to, I'll tell you why at the end of the story of why it used to be. There used to be this park that was basically set up on the other side of a golf course. So like there was this really nice rich area where there was a country club and golfing going on all the time. And then on the other side of the park, there was just this like half abandoned parking lot that would be this long road leading up to this big parking lot. And in the parking lot, there would just be a bunch of people set up in vans selling all sorts of drugs. Like it was basically a drive-through drug parking lot. The drug park. So I heard stories about this park from a couple upperclassmen, bad influence friends that I had and would always smoke with. And they'd be like, yeah, you can just go to this park, give them like $30 and you get a half ounce of weed. And I'm like, excuse me? I'm out here paying fucking $180 for a half ounce of weed. I was really young. Give me a break. It's the East Coast. For all you Californians, okay? I was also like 15 years old, dude. Who the hell is gonna give someone like that a good deal? I heard the legends, the tales. I heard of this mythical park that we could go to. So this upperclassman bad influence, drug dealer from Tony Hawk Underground 1 type character, offers to give us all a ride as long as we have like 20-30 bucks because we're gonna get a shit ton of weed, roll some blunts, and have a good time. I feel like I'm just back to back exposing myself left and right. Just told the video about the scamming thing, you know, it's getting punched in the face. This was another one of those times, I'm not gonna lie. This is one of like the 5 times that I could think of in my head. Other than like, you know, minor things like selling someone a gram and then giving them 0.9 or something, 0.8. Ooh, dude, my buddy, my good friend to this day, wanted to buy an eighth from me. The quality of the bud from this park was terrible. And the friend that was going to drive us that day gave me some of it because it was so cheap. He'd have so much of it. He'd go there with 50 bucks, get like an ounce, 2 ounces of this trash. But it was like weed that you know, do a little something to you. So he literally gives me an eighth because he knows I'm about to get like 40 bucks from my friend. I even told him it was lower quality because I'd usually sell it for 50 or 60. Dude, that's what people would pay back then, man. I'm sure they're still paying that around here. So I leave my buddy's car with this terrible mids. It's not like, no, it's terrible. It's just the worst. Like 1 out of 10, it's a 1.5 at the max. I hand it to him and he looks down on it like, wow. Thanks, I guess, man. Knowing exactly what's going down, basically robbing him. This transaction is basically the equivalent of just taking the dollar bills out of his hand and walking away. So I stroll back to the car, 40 bucks in hand, and I'm all excited for some reason, dude, because I just want to see how much weed we're gonna get. 40 bucks. I think I was only gonna offer 30 because I wanted to get a pack of cigarettes too. I remember the number 30, just like having 30 bucks for this situation. I thought 50 was too much. They were trying to get me to get 50, but I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna pass that off for 50 an eighth, dude. It was that bad. So we drive into probably the sketchiest area of my entire state, and we get all the way to the park. And immediately it's like, it looks like a back entrance to a park, like something like a maintenance worker would drive out of. The main entrance sign's covered in moss, like trees hanging over it so you could barely see. It was clearly not taken care of. We pull into the entrance of the park and it's just windy, narrow road with just like getting deeper and deeper into the woods, basically. That's how it felt. It was getting pretty dark. It was like driving into a 1960s Scooby-Doo episode. And we get to this fork in the road and the person driving had been here before, but it was getting dark and we were smoking the whole way there. He was getting blasted, so he was like getting confused, like, do we take a left or do we take a right here? He looks over to the passenger who also been there and he's like, man, I don't even know. So it was a group decision. We all decided to turn left. But the moment I started seeing them turn left, the headlights are illuminating the road. I'm like, man, it's probably not left. I think it's right. Because as we're going, it's just like going straight into the woods. Like it looks like the paved road turns into gravel, into dirt, and it's just the woods. I'm like, man, I don't know about this. And he just keeps going, and then the car just stops. And he's like, fuck. The tires start spinning. We're stuck there for a second. And I'm just thinking, wow. Wow, the sketchiest part of my state. It's at night. Now we're at the drug park, dude. This is about to get crazy. My dad doesn't even know where I am. He thinks I'm at a friend's house. It was like the ultimate situation of just fuckery. I don't think it could get any worse than this. And my hearts just start racing. I'm like, well, dude, what are we gonna do, man? What the fuck are we gonna do? And he's like, all right, we got to get out of the car and start pushing. And I'm like, no. And he's like, dude, it's the only way to get it out. And then as soon as he says that, the car just like lifts up a little bit and backs out. I don't know how this happened. Must have hit a stick or something, gained some traction. It was a miracle, a Christmas miracle, some would say. We back up in the fork, take the right. And this is where it gets nuts. The path kind of opens up to a field, and this is where you could see the golf course on the left, and then on the right is kind of like, maybe it might have been a soccer field. I don't know what it was. The grass was overgrown on the right. Because it was more open, you can kind of see a little bit more of like the remaining daylight. Before we were literally going into the woods. It was like pitch black, but it was like a horror movie. Straight up. We're driving down this road and like 100 crows just start coming up and cawing over the car. It's supposed to be a bad omen, right? When a bunch of crows just fucking like start going nuts over you. We get past that curse, and then we finally get to the parking lot. We roll up to the dudes hanging around the cars. I'm nervous as fuck, not saying a word in the back. The dude in the front has my money. He rolls the window down like this much, and he's just like, yeah, let me get a 30 bag of the good stuff, man. And the guy looks at him like, $30? All right. I think the majority of people that would go here to buy weed would only bring like $5 or $10 because you'd get so much. They had told me stories of going there with $50, coming back with handfuls of weed, like just seeing him take a big handful out of a garbage bag, putting it in the bag and handing it off. This dude goes around to the back of the van and I see him do just that. Take out a big garbage bag. I didn't see any handful actions. It was kind of hard to see, but I saw him take out a big garbage bag and see it at the back ledge of the van. He comes back with like an absurd amount of weed, probably a little over a half ounce for $30. And believe it or not, the dude was pretty nice. All right. It wasn't intimidating at all. It wasn't like, I honestly didn't know what to expect. We drove off, and then there's like the sketchy parking lot, the second sketchy parking lot. You could buy the drugs, and then there was another parking lot to do the drugs. I don't know what else they were selling there. They must have just been a one-stop pharmacy if I had to guess, but in the second parking lot, he pulls up and parks, and I'm like, dude, you really want to hang out here? Because there was just like 3 different trash can fires set up, a bunch of people huddled around. You could kind of smell burning plastic in the air, which was kind of an indication they were smoking crack or something. Luckily, I've never really been around that, but that's what they were saying. I was like, what the fuck is that smell? And they were like, that's probably crack, man. But he insists, parks up the car, he pulls out the bag and he hands it back to me and he's like, let me get enough to roll a blunt. That's all I want. And I was like, no problem. Gave him like 2 grams. And then I take a look at this bud. 1.5 out of 10. Let me just tell you that. This was the only time I've ever had weed that was stretchy. I don't know what the fuck made it like this. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys could tell me in the comments. It was literally like you pull it and it was like stretched a little bit. I don't know if it was wet with something. I don't know if there's another drug sprayed on it. But we rolled a bunch of blunts. And I remember taking the first couple hits, and I asked him, and I was like, hey, is this weed like any good? Am I going to feel anything? Like, just because I was so baffled at how low priced it was. And he's like, you'll feel a little something. And I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, just smoke it. This is like horrible scenario. If those words ever come to you, don't smoke it. I'm sitting there thinking the worst is going to happen, but I smoke a couple hits of the blunt, and I feel the tobacco, the nicotine, and I just feel like weird. It's like weed extra light, diet weed. It's like weed that's just like I held my breath too long or something. It kind of had a flavor that if you rolled a blunt up in your attic and then left it there for 3 years by accident and found it one day and decided to smoke it, maybe that was a little harsh because it wasn't horrible. I honestly had weed that was worse than this before. Like I've had just weed that was just literally brown dirt. Just terrible. And this, it had a slight shade of green, but we made it back home safe. I had a shit ton of weed. I think I ended up like flipping it for for decent prices back in my hometown. So I told you at the beginning of the story, this used to be the park. There was so much crime going on in this area. This was, like I said, the worst area of my whole entire state. Like the worst area of the worst area in my entire state. I guess the chief of police rolled through there one day and they just shot and killed him. Absolutely fucking horrible. So I imagine from then on that they weren't gonna play around with, allowing that to happen. And here we are going there at 7 o'clock at night, getting stuck in the mud in the middle of the woods. That shit was terrifying. I went back there another time. I'm gonna have to save it for another video because it was fucking hilarious. I'll give you guys another mini story. You better leave a like on this video right now, bucko. Oh my god, that's a big spider right behind the camera. He's literally, dude, he's on his back legs on the wall looking at me. Oh, I hate spiders so much, man. I could deal with snakes. I could deal with anything but spiders. Fuck spiders, man. So I used to have this plug that was in college, and he didn't give a fuck because he was one of the richest kids in the entire school. So if he got in trouble doing anything, his parents would just get him out of it with one of the best lawyers in the state, probably. Just make it disappear, didn't happen, not gonna affect his career, nothing. I wasn't like close friends with him because he was a lot older than me. I was like this fucking 14-year-old kid and he was like in college, so I don't know. Anyways, he would drive down to my hometown and like front me ounces here and there. And one of the times I was picking up, this was before I was even, getting ounces and stuff. This was just when I was buying an eighth of bud. I told him to meet me in the Chinese restaurant parking lot, which was like maybe a couple minutes down the road from my school, right after school. And he said, "No problem there, bro, be there." It was like a lax bro talking like a football player. "Gnarly, bro, got the collared shirt and the pastel shorts. Fucking totally radical. Come to my yacht party, bro." It was me and a couple friends. We walk up to it's the end of the day. I was waiting all day for this bud because like he'd only come down from his college area every like so often, and he had the best weed, dude. It was so amazing. I still remember to this day, he was one of the people that would always bring the green crack around. Like, people hated it because he just had so much of it. And he was one of the only people who had bud. So, like, all the mini dealers around the town would have the same bud, and it would be fucking A, man. Blue Dream again, or Blue Dream, green crack, one of the two. Just like, the same shit again, man. Come on. It was really good, but it was getting to a point. Like, it was like, dude, how much of this could you possibly have? Holy moly, that was so dank. So anyways, I was looking forward to this all day. Finally, end of the day, going over to the Chinese restaurant, waiting for him. He's like 2 minutes late. I see his car pull up, every seat taken, windows down. The radio is maxed out. I'm talking distortion coming out of these speakers. Two people visibly smoking blunts in the back of the car. He swerves up, music continually blasting, didn't turn it down whatsoever. This is the middle of the day, 2:45, school just ended. There's still kids walking down the fucking sidewalk, cars pulling up to park and get Chinese food, dude. It's right next to a convenience store, so there's just people all over the place. He pulls up, triple parks diagonally on 3 parking spots. He's like, "Hey bro, here's your weed." Just fucking right out the window, broad daylight. There's like 5 or 6 other kids that are walking from the school, just like they're seeing a live health class video live in front of their eyes. And I'm like, oh, here's the money, dude. Fucking put it in my pocket. Thanks, dude. See you later. Next time. Run off to my friends. Like, all right, dude, let's get the fuck out of here. This guy peels out of the parking lot. He gave 0 fucks. Just like my camera focus right now. Come on, there we go. Listen, he gave 0 fucks. It's crazy times buying weed in high school, man. Just crazy. Let me know in the comments down below what your craziest time buying weed was. Hopefully I can figure out a title of this video so it doesn't get sniped out of the recommended, but leave a like on it. Help me out, alright? Put a comment where you're watching the video from and leave a like. Please appreciate that. To see the uncensored version of this video, check out my Patreon page. For $1 or $2 a month, you can support the channel and get access to the secret, unlisted, uncensored videos that I make over on Patreon. I'll put a list of all the names on screen right now. Huge thank you for all of the support. I gotta say, it's a lot easier these days with the dispensaries pretty much in every state. Sucks for you if you're one of those illegal states. I feel for you, man. I mean, it's legal here, so I don't really feel for you, but I did, all right? It was illegal at one point. You know, when I was in high school, I had to deal with that bullshit, so. But now all you gotta do is find someone that's 21, which is tough, all right? That's really tough. I could barely ever find someone that was 21 to get me alcohol. I'd be like, I'm not buying you alcohol. You're fucking 16. You know, I get that all the time, so. Thank you for spending the time out of your day to watch my video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. What else do I say? Stay high, stay lifted, and stay snazzy.